Hello everyone, welcome back to a new episode of The Sea Will Claim Everything. Last time we left off, we mostly checked around the bar and stuff. Talked to everyone in here, I'm pretty sure. We have some new quests and things to take care of, but I think I immediately want to turn around and talk to Medusa. Fishing boats always look romantic, but fishing is a hard life, unless you really hate fish, in which case it might be fun in a vengeful sort of way. Coiled rope. At night, cats like to sit on it. Petrified seagull. It happens. Oh, because, yeah, that makes sense. With its owner too old and too poor to maintain it, this boat is beginning to sink. Alright, hello. Greetings, traveler. Excuse me if I do not turn around. Medusa. Yes, it is I, Medusa, the gorgon of so many stories, though as you can see, the stories are at best exaggerated, at worst invented. My fame is mostly forgotten now, but there was a time when the tabloids would not leave me alone. Every detail of my life was either observed and distorted, or simply made up. Medusa, is she mistreating her snakes? Is Medusa's stare harming quarries? Stoned inside Medusa's drug scandal. Perseus beheads Medusa and all that piffle. What is the truth about me then? I'm just another chthonic being, trying to find my way through life. I may be prettier than most, but that's not all there is to me. I do turn things to stone, but the effect isn't permanent unless I'm really angry. Smell today is jellyfish. Seagull. It'll turn back in a few days, a week at most. Chthoniya? I have some family in the area, but the real reason I came here is because the people are so down to earth. They just don't care that I'm a celebrity. They do like to gossip, but sometimes it doesn't matter that there are all these stories about me. I'm just another citizen, no more respectable or special than anyone else. The only one who treats me differently is the mayor. Harbor? I like standing here watching the waves. It's like looking at eternity. Well, that must sound very silly. I suppose sometimes I do sound like a celebrity. Oracle? Mayor Cranion announced that his very unpopular policies here on the island are based on advice from the Oracle. It's destiny, he says, and everything else would lead to our destruction. I don't know about you, but that sounds an awful lot like something from a tabloid to me. Timber Tyrant? No, that doesn't ring a bell, but history has never been my strong suit. There was someone from the Isle of the Moon in the town a while ago. They said she was very pretty and had hair similar to mine. It's a shame I didn't meet her, really. I would have loved to talk hair for a while. Nimicine shell? Oh, Borin, such a sweet man. We were together for a while, you know. Dwarves can't be petrified, supposedly because they were shaped from the stone itself. But I'm being a silly old woman again, talking about the past, and it's all about the past, isn't it? A Nimicine shell allows you to hear the sounds of your past. You might be able to find one on Coakley Beach. I'll mark it on your map. The shell you're looking for is round and slightly purplish. Thank you, Medusa. Alright, over here, and then, oh god, and then, okay, this is a dead end. Good, this is what I want. This is the home of Athena and Maria, a wonderful couple who were both fired recently and are very worried about the future. Do you know that the people of Athonia eat watermelon with feta? It's a surprisingly delicious combination. So many melons. Two very nice, big, firm melons. Would you like a melon? Socrates. Okay, yeah, I mean, I see what they're doing here. Used to be a philosopher. No way of doing that and surviving these days. Besides, I'm not sure I was on the right track. So I sell melons now. Melons are good. Everyone loves melons, and selling melons gives me some time to think. Spell of the day is conium. Philosophy. I went wrong somewhere. I don't know where. Did I know too little but act as if I knew too much? Or was the mistake in asserting too strongly that I only knew that I knew nothing? Forget what that silly boy Plato wrote later on for a moment. There was an error in my thinking, a presumption, a logical fallacy. What was it? Politics. I never wanted to get involved in politics, but it wasn't a philosopher's business. Not in that sense. But where are we now? Would things be different had I spoken more loudly? Had I spoken less and fought more? What did I do wrong? Melons. Melons are sweet and refreshing, bringing joy and happiness wherever they are seen. Of all the things you may put in your mouth, are melons not the most divine? Are they not the most pleasing to the touch? If you were to rest your face against a fruit, would you not choose a melon? Fragrant, luscious melons. Perhaps they are the wisest pursuits in life. Oracle. I don't trust oracles. Once an oracle said there was no one wiser than me. I think that was wrong. There you go. So yeah, I mean, they mentioned Athena over here as well. He rents it for a steep price while people go homeless. This house belongs to Mayor Canyon. What an ass. I mean, we know about this, though, already. Young unemployed man who lives here is too depressed to go out. Fair? There are flowers of youth that everyone keeps going on about. These flowers are very philosophical. If you smell them, you'll have questions and bees in your nostrils. A hippie flower, it's into self-power. A fragrant bee attractor. A strange man called Richard Alpert lives here. Who would close their window in this lovely weather? Naughty people, that's who. And sometimes you don't want the sun coming in. Can I examine this? An old lady called Eleni lives here with her daughter Maria. Cool, fresh water from the hills of Helios. Probably an enormous wasp hiding in there just waiting to jump out at you going bzz. That's fine, the wasp can stay. It's Leopold Bloom. Home of Stavros the Philosopher Tree. He's not home at the moment. The owners of this house moved to Oneiropolis when Lord Yozen's goons kicked them out of their home. These flowers are very philosophical. If you smell them, you'll have questions and bees in your nostrils. Okay. And there, a small dry forest full of exploding mushrooms. Interesting. And this was the way, yeah, okay, cool. God, this is a big town. Enthusiastic orange tree. Even though oranges grow really well in the Isle of the Sun, Mayor Cranion's latest agreement with Lord Yozen says that oranges will now be imported at a high cost from the land of Sweaty Bum! No, I don't want swamp-ass mushrooms. A fallen orange, ideal for rolling under the wheels of a cart so it'll go squish. Orange, you glad you didn't step on this? With poverty on the rise, crime has also gone up. That's why Stelios has been forced to secure his windows and get a vicious guard flower. A Silmarian man called Stelios lives here. Various bushes grow around Eftonia. Their berries are unhealthy for most animals, but some birds like to eat them because that's how they roll. Okay. I think that's it. House is empty. Its former owners have been kicked out by Mayor Cranion. Okay. So left? That's a centaur. Right? Oh god, there's so much to explore. Pretty flower bed. Don't step on it, or the bees and wasps and other horrific flower-addicted hairy insects will come and sting you to death. True story. That's not a true story. It's not a true story. They're not horrific either. They're fine. Bumblebees are just happy little friends. So are wasps. Testosterone is the smell of the day. What do you want, stranger? Matt. My name's Matt. It's my job to keep the streets clean and orderly, to stand between civilization and anarchy, protecting the city from danger. Or just follow the orders of whoever, you know, is giving you orders. Disorder. Disorder lurks around every corner. People are foolish and easily frightened, and any one of them could be an anarchist. I have to protect society against itself. They don't appreciate it, of course. Oracle. Mayor Cranion has the support of the Oracle, and he's leading us to a better future. Won't be an easy road, and some of the weak-minded people in the city are going to suffer, but it's their own fault. They should trust in the wisdom of the Oracle. Yeah, just blindly trust things. That's never went wrong for anybody. Can't you see you're having the wool pulled over your eyes a little bit here, friends? They never do. Crisis? What else can you expect? Foreigners everywhere, our own citizens getting lazy and never working, no respect for the old values, it was inevitable. What a jackass. What a jackass. But this is unfortunately very accurate. I always say the Timber Tyrant was a bad man, but was he? Fought for his country and brilliantly defeated his enemies. There's never been a general so great. He was betrayed by his own people and murdered on the Isle of the Moon. And why? Because they were jealous of his greatness. Okay. This person, yeah, Matt, fuck off. Indeed. Just fuck off. You're a shithead. Lizard Dude is soaking up the heat like a boss. Flower looks harmless. But it is. Holiday home of Marcos Malakas, who campaigned extensively for Mayor Cranion. Don't know why. Pretentious flowers. These flowers are very pretty but kind of shallow. The window has been thoroughly secured. Profoundly Aryan window. Window subscribes to Homoiousianism today? Homoiousianism. That's a word I have not seen much. These flowers think that everyone should pay taxes except the people who have money, because otherwise they might be discouraged from making more money. Oh, poor them! Oh no, what will the witch people do? Poor little babies. Flowers have been brainwashed, which is impressive given that they don't have brains. This window has been secured against robbers and popular insurrections. Yeah, they get bars on your windows. God, they're all just stupid skulls. As you can see, putting antique artifacts into the hands of private citizens is much better than keeping them in a dusty old museum. Who cares what this object teaches us about Eftonian history anyway? Yeah, just... private collectors. Ooh. Krennian bought this at a bargain price after the museum was privatized. Hands off, that's private property. Mayor Krennian meeting Bono. Photo of Mayor Krennian with Lord Yurzin. Can't see Yurzin. These feathers from the rare gray Pegasus were a personal gift to Mayor Krennian from Lord Yurzin. The Great Chain of Industry by Andrew Ryan. Gotta work on love, finding an efficient relationship through self-interest by Craig Whittle. Pushing the envelope, how to be better, faster, smarter, and get the results you want in business and in life by Harvey McKay. That's where Mayor Krennian keeps the most priceless of his antiques. Hands off, that's private property. Discarded personnel files, also known as liberated human resources. Krennian is keeping a log of all the people he's fired on the advanced use of police violence by George Papanderov Galto. Illustration of Mayor Krennian's planned Thera Beach Fun Refreshing Wellness Mega Hotel. Mayor Krennian's Diploma of Modern and Macroeconomic Consultancy Management from the University of Plagiettingen. Mayor Krennian's collection of exotic drinks on a plateau of Ling is too expensive for you to fool around with. Paperweight in the shape of a temple that the people who made the paperweight have probably never seen. Carbonated water from a pitcher? How exactly does a skull drink? These designer glasses cost more than the Antigone makes in a year. Their theme is inspiration through poverty. Oof. Advanced macroeconomic tools that have nothing to do with making cocktails. How to beat everyone and everything. Part 2. Bitches Dig Skulls by Macho McBoner. How Greed Helps Everyone by Flora Mendacium. New Dynamics of Winning. Gain the mindset of a champion for unlimited success in business and life by Dennis Waitley. Skulls Are From Hell. Women Are From Venus by John Gray. God, you're such an ass already. Yes. Crisis. The average person in the street is suffering, and I fully understand that and feel for them. Unfortunately, a state must make difficult decisions that may seem strange to the common man, but are completely logical when looked at from the perspective that we look at them, the perspective of the future. That is why all the actions taken in Eftonia are based on the advice of the Oracle, an expert in all matters regarding the post-present development of events. We are confident this partnership will lead our community to a better future, even though sacrifices will be necessary. I notice you're not sacrificing anything, considering your glasses are worth more than the annual income of the people here. I think of myself as a patriot, not in the nationalist sense, of course, but as someone who has the best interests of Eftonia in mind. Hard choices have to be made, and it will take courage to bring Eftonia into the future. Confident that our actions will lead through the current dry spell to a brighter future. We will work hard and overcome our troubles, I am confident. For all legal purposes, these statements are to be taken as being of an inspirational nature. Economic results may vary, of course they will. Sacrifices are necessary to find a way out of this difficult situation. Though they do not understand it, it is the people who must make the sacrifices, and we are confident that we have their support in this, because it was their lack of sacrifices that brought on the crisis in the first place. It is highly unreasonable to demand sacrifices from the rich. However, as their function as job creators is the only path out of this crisis. It is they who do the real work of thinking and owning, not the superficial work of working, which is at best a metaphorical work. God, yeah, you're such a funny parody of them, but some of them do straight up just believe these things. But it's hilarious to just have it laid out in such, you know, blunt language, which really just shows how absurd you're being. Usually they use flowery language and try to cover things up as much as they possibly can. They're like, no, we need to stay in our position of power, and here's why. We're going to explain it to you, people not in a position of power. Please don't come to our house and burn it down. Future. One of the great problems we face on the Isle of the Sun is the childish laziness of its people and their lack of what our experts call inventfulness, a concept similar but more complex than inventiveness. I'm used to, God, what's the word? It's the buzzword that companies always throw around. It's on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it right now. I wanted to say, like, that's not it. God, it's the word, it's the buzzword they love saying for coming up with new ideas and being inventive. You know? They spend their days idling, sitting in the sun or working with their hands or minds when much greater things are possible. Look at the concept painting behind me. If we transformed our beaches into exclusive resorts, how much money could be earned? Imagine hotels housing thousands of tourists from the mainland with little swimming pools so they don't have to walk to the beach, with entertainers at every corner. That's the future. I hate you so much. I stand by the ideals of freedom, democracy, and anti-austerity on which I was elected. Surely it is not my fault if there are those who cannot understand how my policies are every word and letter of the Constitution, a truthful and passionate but also logical and inevitable bringing to life of the very fundamental principles of my program as endorsed by the Oracle. These traitors who cannot understand the deeply progressive concept of anti-austerity via radical austerity are the very definition of the laziness and corruption responsible for our problems. I feel deeply sorry that such harsh measures are necessary, but I'm proud of the new direction this island has taken. You're so full of shit, and I want to flush you down a toilet. Goodbye, shithead. Okay, what's over here? An old couple lives here. Their only child has moved to Uth Nargai to look for work. For some inexplicable reason, these flowers are followers of Quetzalcoatl. Bees only come to these flowers when someone is trying to open the window. Lamp oil is too expensive, so people prefer to use candles. At least they also look prettier. Home of a sentient glass called Charis. A broom that belongs to a slightly deranged flower next to it. Every morning, this flower gets out of a pot to sweep the street and sing peculiar anthems. There's a frog in here hiding from the sun. Nasturtiums, very similar to those that grow in Eriador. These flowers are debating the origin of death. Chameleon mushroom disguised as a pot. The flowers are real. These flowers are just waiting to drop on someone's head, cracking their skull and spilling bees down their back. Not beans. Beans would be weird. Ah, you're in like the page for the game. You're just there. Tiny lizard living in that pod. His name is Andrew, and he's very pleased to meet you. Hello, Andrew. I wonder where that ship is going. Sadaka? Laneth? Maybe even Oneiropolis? Oneiropolis? Oh my god, why is this word always so hard? Ah, the smell of flowers, their beautiful colors. Ah, the horrible werebees that can't tell the difference between a flower in your hand. How may I help you? Stavros. I'm Stavros, a Dendric philosopher. I was grown and raised here on the Isle of the Sun, and it is here that I spend my time trying to understand what little I can. To find as much enlightenment as we may be granted in this or any other world. Democracy. Many question the value of democracy in times like these, dreaming instead of great leaders to relieve us of our burdens. It may be granted that our situation is partially of our own making, having elected those who brought us here, though that is a dangerous simplification. However, history teaches us a simple lesson as regards leaders. A great leader may be great today, but their greatness may not last forever. They may grow corrupt or be replaced by others. A bad leader once in power is hard to remove. It may poison the spirit of the land for many years. Elected government, however, no matter how foolish, may still be altered by democratic means. Democracy may correct itself. That is our only hope. Violence. I spent much thought on the subject of violence. In the beginning, I believed that the only wisdom lay in rejecting all violence. It is easy to come to this conclusion. All that is required is a little history. For a long time, I was certain of this position, the use of violence debased both victim and perpetrator. Lately, I have begun to have doubts. While violence should not be allowed to the state, should not be sanctioned by the law, does that mean all violence is wrong? How many an oppressed people defend themselves when dialogue is not an option? When the oppressor will use violence without remorse, is it not justified to strike back? It absolutely is! Thank you! The sea. Sometimes I have to turn away from the sea to be able to think. It inspires me, but it can also put me in a trance. It is overwhelming and perfect, which is why it is the source of so many sayings and metaphors. History, it has been said, repeats itself, but I believe that this is a misunderstanding. History is not a process, but a result. The patterns we must observe are the patterns of wealth and war, thought and polity. If we may understand the rules to which these matters are bound, then history may be changed. History will only repeat so long as we do not understand its machinery. Unfortunately, not enough respect is given to history, and quite frankly, these days, just learning and reading in general. Lord Urizen calls himself a follower of reason, but in truth it is false reason that he follows, a hollow construct of language and customs that allows for none of the principles of reason. Oracle? I don't know if the Oracle speaks the truth. Can the future be predicted? Unlikely. But if the ancients are to be believed, many of the Oracle's prophecies came true. Perhaps it is less a matter of foreknowledge than of extrapolating from current knowledge. Perhaps that is what it means to be a seer, to see not the future, but the present. Oh, you know Niam and thee? It's wonderful. They are a lovely couple, aren't they? Anyway, yes, Niam passed through here a while ago. She said she was going to the hills of Helios. Here, I'll show you on your map. Timber Tyrant? His tale is one of the most tragically ironic of our time. You should know that the Timber Tyrant was not his real name, but only a mocking nickname given to him by his opponents. Yet for all his conquests, for all his so-called glory, his true name has been forgotten. He sought to make himself the greatest king who ever lived, and now he is only a half-remembered story of barbarism and futility. Thank you. Appreciate you. Oh my god, how big is this place? Jeez, it's still going. Oh my god. It's where Costa lives. The door smells goaty. A lizard, a lizard. A lizard on a wall. Lamp. Its name is Fotis. I'm mostly worried because of how big it is that I'm going to miss things, because there's not like a map for these areas to you know, like help me know that I've been to every zone, so I could miss something, which worries me. Other handles can't hold a candle to this candle. No one knows what that means. Stick your nose in these flowers if you want a bee to crawl in your brain. These flowers remind you of Bougainvilleas, but they're not because nobody can pronounce that. Bougainville. I don't know. It's probably a pronunciation I would never guess. It's a Nimbus 1821. Fresh water from Vregmini Spring. Om nom nom. Gentle goat Gabardine. Gabardine? Aftonia. Katsuko's family has always lived in Aftonia. My parents were Aftonia people and their grandparents before them. Sometimes people tell me, why don't you go away? Making a living is so hard in Aftonia, why don't you move to Nairopolis? Well, I like it here. This is my home. My parents worked their whole life so I can have a little house to live in and a garden to plant my vegetables in. This is our land. Or should I give it all up, all these decades of work, just because Lord Urizen tells me to? I mean, that's what they want. Costas? Costas. I don't really have much to say about myself. Just a regular working goat trying to make a living. Lazy? I work all morning, I work all afternoon, but when I take a break at midday to eat something, Mayor Crandian comes and tells me I'm lazy. What does he expect? What does he do except sit around and talk? Exactly. Food. Got to grow vegetables yourself these days. It's all gotten so expensive. Why did the mayor think it was a good idea to import vegetables from the mainland when he can grow them right here perfectly well? Never understand it. Oracle? I don't understand things like that. I just understand the world that's before me. Work, home, food, people. Can't make decisions because of some profit. Maybe the mayor knows something I don't. I guess he is mayor for a reason after all. I mean, no, that's not... I understand you're overworked, but you've got to see that, no, he's not a mayor for a reason. He's a mayor because of affluence and quite possibly, you know, networking and nepotism and various things that just put him into this position to subjugate you. Please, friend, defend your rights. Twin flowers. A group of bees are having a planning session in these flowers discussing important questions like into whose food they will fly today. Flower is currently writing its thesis on the biology of social insects. Ooh, that's a fun topic. Social insects are awesome. One of the most busted abilities in the animal kingdom. Flower may not be covered in bees, but it could be. A bird is sitting under this bush and reading the new book by Nikos Kazantzakis. This mushroom is thinking about getting a book from the library. Something light and fungal. Okay, and then here's the owl, which is it. Oh, God. Oh, no. Strap in! Chronicle of Exile by Yanis Ritsos. That's not a separate book. The Canon of Medicine, updated edition by Ibn Sina. Nairopolis University Guide to Znut by Alpaca Jones. To Axion Esti by Odysseus Aletis. The Brain Drain, Concerning the Future of Zombie Academia by Cthulhu was nice once you get to know him. An autobiography by Antonius Quinn. Hilarious Tragedy of Lagonia by Murch the Necromancer. Also, this is an autobiography? So does that mean Cthulhu's name is Antonius Quinn? Hilarious Tragedy of Lagonia. Journey to Nairopolis by Jules Verne. Discourse upon altering gender incongruity in humans, saurians, dwarves, and holy tree people of the Nirvanic Peninsula by Professor Andrew Sakak. 20 Inches of Monkey. Tentative Restoration of the Lost Books of Elephantis by Gerald Musgrave. Cratylus by Plato. Plato by Cratylus. Inquiry into the Name and Causes of the Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. Our Personal Space by Andrea Landaker and Rachel Helps. Many-Faced Democracy by Yuri Melkov. I Stepped on the Frankfurt School and it made a squishy sound by Jacanicus Bean Trinket. Billion-Toed City, A History by Ravenlock Smith. Nairopolis University Guide to Nairopolis University. Exile and Return by Yanis Ritsos. Black Corsair's Other Daughter by Emilio Salgari. Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism by Vladimir Lenin. Narbles of Intergrom, a Narble. Defense of October by Leon Trotsky. Shivering Bestiary by Namler Esprink. I Sailed with Japanese Pirates by Aleko Lilius. Collected poems of Nikos Kavadias, Aeropolis University edition. Everything is Different but Nothing is Alone by M.J. Shorbel. Uses of Magic and Healing by Sinjil Igidius. Material Causes of the Third War of Magic by Ravenlock Smith. Wellsprings of Life by Isaac Asimov. The Use of Bananas and Alchemical Compounds by Muhammad ibn Musa. I might need that. The Endochronic Properties of Resubliminated Theotimeline by Isaac Asimov. 13 Blessings of Sheogorath, author unknown. I feel like I've seen that one before. Are some of these dupes? Grundrisse by Karl Marx. I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. The Pact of Links and Its Effect on Transdimensional Web Dynamics by Jacob the 37th. Yoram Duga's Partial List of Yoram Duga books. Marvelous Adventures of Captain Starbeard by Matija Polspis. On Aeropolis University Guide to Billion-Toed City, 3rd edition. The Hierarch and the Primate, History of Ape Theology by Edward Gibbon. See, that's another one I feel like I recognize. The Velvet Book of Nukrasami, author unknown? Maybe they do have a limited amount. Like, you can examine all of them, but not all of them are unique. Rise of Lord Urizen. Suffering God selected letters to Galatea and to Papastefanu. Trolls Never Sleep. An examination of video game adaptations of the work of Herbert Quain. Mists of the Fortunate Isles. The Complete Guide to Finishing What You Star. It's great. See, like, this is why I want to read them all, because they have some good jokes and puns in here, but now I'm starting to wonder if I've read some of them before. Or they're dupes. Atlas of the Kingdom of the Enigmatic Snakes. Transmogrification of cat hair. Political ramifications of the Second Treaty of Borrington. History of the Gnomes, a Marxist perspective. Biography of Baron Zaya. Baron Zaya, that's the stones in Skyrim, right? Baron Zaya stones. Aeropolis University Guide to Gum. Are Clams Turing Complete? Also Dogs by Claire Jones. Limits to Capital by David Harvey. Pneumatic News. Further Study of Int Draughts by Marie Curie. Hopeful Missives from a Peacenik Sauna Republic by Hot Rod Cadets. The Book of Strange Flowers. Creating the Tools of Alchemy. New Poems from Monopolis. Yoram Duga's Atlas of Unexplored Lands. Das Kapital. See, that's definitely one I've seen. Some of these are dupes, which makes sense that there would be some duplicate books, but I want to read them all. Beyond the Rim, Medicine in the Land of Dreams. Okay, maybe I don't read all of these books, because I feel like they are starting to dupe now. Like, maybe this room in particular, since it is a library, does have some dupes of the other books. So I might abandon my reading all the books in this room, because I'm not even halfway through. And yeah, I swear some of those that I read were dupes. I thought everyone would be unique, which was a big ask. To be fair, like, that was a huge thing to expect, but it seemed like they had a ridiculous amount of them at first, but... Shh. Sophia. I'm the librarian. I will defend this library and what it represents with my life. That is all. Omniscience instead of omniscience. Omniscience. Library. Library has stood in Aftonia in one form or another since the city was founded. Our ancestors believed that without knowledge, no civilization can survive in the long term. Our current leadership does not share that sentiment, and recently tried to have the library shut down. The state of the disorder you see around you is what happens when a half-man, half-horse, all buffoon tries to convince me to leave and surrender the books I am sworn to guard to the fire. He won't be trying again. Yeah, hell yeah, owl. Books are the most important invention in the history of the world. Books are gates to other worlds, documents of the past. They are enlightenment called in ink, memories set down on paper. They let us remember the past, understand the present, and create the future. It is by how it treats books that we may judge a civilization. Does it offer them freely, so wisdom and knowledge may spread? Does it hide them away? Does it ignore them? Does it allow some but not others? Does it burn them? Mayor Cranion? For the elections, Mayor Cranion actually promised he would bring an end to austerity. He accused his predecessor, Mayor Necrokfali, corruption and fraud. He said he would negotiate with Lord Urizen and bring about a new era of justice and equality. But then, just after the elections, he said he had consulted the Oracle, and much as it pained him, austerity had to continue. There was no alternative. Help. Mayor Cranion claims that his catastrophic policies are based on the advice of the Oracle. I have my doubts about that, and I'd like you to find out whether he's telling the truth. The Isle of the Oracle, the ancient texts say, is very hard to reach, since no one can sail there who has not first found it through the path of the Logos. Find the path of the Logos, they say you must drink the potion of change, then stand between the pillars of an ancient gate and walk into eternity. Not know precisely what that means, and the book that contained the information was accidentally lost by Mayor Cranion, but perhaps you can convince him to tell you something about the potion. Kalist? Kalist, also called the Isle of the Earth, was an island to the east of here. A few decades ago, it was destroyed by a volcanic explosion, which also resulted in massive waves that caused terrible devastation in all the coastal communities. There's another factor contributing to the current poverty. Damage? This is not what a library is supposed to look like. I'm very sorry, but that buffoon of a guard did a lot of damage before I could kick him out. People with no respect for books are frightening, indeed. Foreclosure. I wish I had better news. I wish I could say this law or that law would prevent thee from losing his family's home. And those laws do exist, but the bitter truth is that they mean nothing. Property is protected only when it is the property of the mighty. The law only applies when it is convenient. In fact, the agreements of Lord Urizen themselves contradict the fundamental principles of our laws, but as you can see, this amounts to very little if no action's taken, yeah. Laws in the hands of those who already own the most, and if they want Underhome, they will take it. I'm sorry, thee. Okay, let's see if there's anything else interesting in here besides the plethora of books. God, yeah, see, there's so many, and like, I swear some of them are dupes. Sudden occurrence of meaning in a bleak and purposeless universe, a love story likely to annoy nihilists. Famous people I have licked. Yeah, like, there's a lot, and but I swear some of them were dupes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure not many people are going to complain that I'm not reading every single book in that room in particular. I'm still going to read all the ones in other rooms, but yeah, especially if there's not that many. Okay, I think that was everything. Book. The book you are referring to is accidentally misplaced. There's no point searching for it here, as it was not I who misplaced it, but Lord Urizen's representative, Her Skaldel. You can visit his ship and talk to him if you like, but I assure you that it is better to focus on more important matters, and no, I cannot currently recall the recipe. Why are you so undemocratic as to mistrust my word? Oracle. The post-present data made available to this government by the Oracle has made clear there is no alternative to the policies we are pursuing. But unlike other governments, which we are critical of but deeply respect, we are employing these methods for a better cause. Our austerity is a progressive austerity, which will lead to prosperity, unlike the functionally identical but ideological different austerity we previously criticized, which can only lead to poverty. Yeah. What an ass. Okay. We've pretty much explored everything at this point in this area. So cliffs, I think, would be next. No list seems to be fine. I think we'll save right here. I'm gonna save on Neolithic. Alrighty. Well then. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time for some more.